Hello everyone. Today I wish to talk about mitochondrial dysfunction in aging and chronic conditions. Why do I want to talk about this topic? Because I recently read an article according to which all chronic conditions and aging have their root cause in mitochondrial dysfunction. Well, actually, these are not a new information. Boston College professor Thomas Seyfried demonstrated years ago that even cancer is a mitochondrial metabolic disease rather than a disease driven by nuclear genetic mutations. Of course, the mutations they do occur, but they are a consequence of mitochondrial dysfunction. So mitochondria are the powerhouse, the energy production machinery in our cells. And what happens when mitochondria don't work well? Well, several bad things happen. For example, the disordered mitochondrial dynamics and the reduced recycling of mitochondria, which is called mitophagy, they lead to accumulation of damaged mitochondria inside our cells, and this leads to a decrease of energy production. It increases the mutations of the DNA inside the mitochondria. Yes, mitochondria, they have their own DNA that is different from the DNA. Well, the DNA is the same. The genes are different from those in the nucleus of our cells. It is called MT, mitochondrial DNA, and mutations in this DNA accumulate. And this leads to an elevated production of a reactive oxygen species, ROS. And we know that reactive oxygen species trigger oxidative stress, and no need for me to tell you that oxidative stress is not good. It's not good for DNA, it's not good for proteins, it's not good for cell metabolism in general. And the excess reactive oxygen species activates inflammasome, that is inflammation, chronic inflammation, low-grade chronic inflammation that is not apparent at first, but it works subtly and leads to a number of conditions. And aging by itself, even without any disease, is associated with a progressive decline in antioxidant defenses, and this further amplifies the mitochondrial damage and the aging of the cells. So what is the remedy to all this? Well, there is not only one remedy, but one remedy that definitely works, and it has been demonstrated for the past 20 or maybe 30 years, is a molecule that is called carnitine or L-carnitine. And today I wish to talk a little bit about this molecule because this molecule is used all over the world, but sometimes we don't know enough about it. First of all, what is L-carnitine? It is long name, difficult to pronounce, L3-hydroxy-4-3-methylammonium butanoate. It is a quaternary ammonium compound. It exists as deuterium at physiological pH in our cells. We make our own carnitine because it is synthesized endogenously in our liver and kidneys from the amino acids lysine and methionine. However, this pathway of synthesis requires vitamin C, vitamin B6, niacin, and iron as cofactors. The problem is that as we age, the capacity for endogenous synthesis declines, and so we produce less carnitine as we age. And less carnitine means less mitochondrial function, because carnitine is essential, as we shall see in just a few moments, for the function of mitochondria. Carnitine is what brings the fuel to the mitochondria. Without carnitine, the mitochondria cannot work because they don't have access to their fuel. Where does carnitine come from? Well, carnitine, for us who speak Italian, has a very clear origin from carne. Carne means meat, and there are the highest concentration in red meat, in poultry, fish, but also, and this leads to our product Bravo, in milk and colostrum and other dairy products. So in Bravo, we have plenty of carnitine because there is plenty of carnitine in milk and colostrum. And this is interesting. During the process of fermentation that leads to Bravo, carnitine not only is not degraded, actually its function is amplified. And where is carnitine in our bodies? The highest levels are present in tissues that have high energy demand, the heart and the skeletal muscle, as well as in the liver, in the brain. We need energy in our brain and in the kidney. So why carnitine is so essential for mitochondrial function? Because carnitine transports the long-chain fatty acids that are the fuel into the mitochondria. And these long-chain fatty acids are then oxidate, beta oxidation, and they generate acetyl coenzyme A, that is what produces the energy molecule, the ATP, adenosine triphosphate. But also, carnitine prevents the toxic accumulation of acetyl coenzyme A. It is called lipotoxicity, and helps maintain the pool of free coenzyme A. So carnitine is essential for the function of mitochondria because of the transport of long-chain fatty acids to produce ATP, because it prevents the toxic accumulation of acetyl-CoA and helps maintain the pool of free coenzyme A. And carnitine, because of this, it has anti-aging properties and mitochondrial support. Alone or combined with alpha-lipoic acid, reverses age-related mitochondrial decline in animal models. So this has been demonstrated, and actually it has been demonstrated for years. In the worm or nematode called Chernorabitis elegans, it extends lifespan, so they live much longer, and improves the recovery from oxidative stress. In humans, it has been demonstrated that supplementation increases muscle mass, physical effort tolerance, and cognitive performance, especially in very elderly and pre-frail individuals. So carnitine has all these positive effects: anti-aging, mitochondrial support. And is there evidence for the prevention of chronic disease? Yes, there is plenty of evidence. In the cardiovascular system, meta-analysis means not one single study, but analysis of many studies show improved left ventricular ejection fraction, that is the ability of the heart to pump blood, and stroke volume in heart failure. It has been demonstrated, again, not by one single study, but by many, many studies, that carnitine reduces all-cause mortality, ventricular arrhythmias, and angina after myocardial infarction. Evidence for metabolic support. It enhances the fatty acid oxidation, and it may improve insulin sensitivity. And what about our brains? Neurodegenerative support or neurological support. It supports neuronal mitochondrial function. And of course, our brains, they do need energy, and has been studied for cognitive benefits in aging. Overall, carnitine helps sustain cellular energy metabolism and resilience during aging. And this is what I wanted to say about mitochondrial dysfunction and carnitine. Carnitine has been known for many, many years, and I'm happy to let you know that carnitine is present in high quantities in our Bravo products. I thank you for your time and attention.